by the time you're watching this, Nigeria's general elections will be only a couple of days away. Don't forget that this election was postponed by Nigeria's Electoral Commission Chairman, Professor Atahiru Jega, from February 14th to March 28th for the presidential elections and elections into the National Assembly, and April 11th for elections into governorship seats of 36 states and houses of assembly in all the states. The race has been tough and the campaigns have been vicious. As we count down into the last hours of this election, has the 6-week postponement turned into positive news for the People's Democratic Party? That's the party Nigeria's president belongs to. Well, hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Jitumobi. Thank you for joining me on the program today. My host today is one of those at the forefront of the president's re-election bid for another 4 years that will take him from 2015 to 2019. The opinion polls are divided. Those who think the president has done enough and those who say he disappointed them, especially if they supported him in 2011. So, join me after the break as I count down 60 minutes with Kingsley Kuku, the special advisor to Nigeria's president on Niger Delta affairs. Welcome back. Welcome, Mr. Kuku. Thank you very much for coming back on the program. I know we haven't seen, since about February 7th, when that announcement for the postponement of the elections was announced. And, the velocity of the APC at the time, a lot of people had a general opinion that it looked like the PDP was about to lose that election if it had gone on your birthday.
Perception has always been a very, very critical factor in running elections, and sometimes perception leads to victory and losing elections for various reasons and for various people. But the PDP in size, in structure, with control in various states of the Federation, with the caliber of people, the kind of programs they were able to run for 16 years, particularly now under the very safe and able hands and leadership of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, could not have lost that election if it had held on my birthday, 14th of February.
But will you agree with me that this 6 weeks postponement, the PDP has gained ground? The PDP has taken the wind out of the sail of the APC.
I first want to say that before the postponement, the APC truly was involved in very, very virulent propaganda. In fact, they were already seeing themselves as governors in waiting and president in waiting. But Nigerians know better. You really don't need to follow up with propaganda when you know that you are running a government of truth, a government of reality. But before 14th, let us give it to them. Their propaganda machinery was very strong.
They were running a good race.
A very strong propaganda machinery was on for the APC. But immediately the postponement came for very obvious and very genuine reasons. The Independent National Electoral Commission was not ready for that election at that time. Look at my own state. We had nothing less than, at that time, 450,000 PVCs not collected. And not collected does not mean they were even distributed. They were not in Ondo State at the time. So many wards, so many units never had PVCs printed, even in Lagos. And I told you at the time that in Lagos Island local government, out of the 19 wards, there are 6 of the wards which PVCs were not printed at the time. There is a difference between
not collecting.
Yes. They were not even printed. Therefore, they've not been sent to Lagos. Is that the kind of election we would have had? No.
But people will say that no election is perfect, even in the great America that
It is wrong. If it is the undoing of the voter, you have distributed his card, he has collected the card is made available, he decides not to participate, it's his own choice.
Yes.
But where you have the mass of Nigerians saying that, look, I want to vote, it is my duty and right to vote, but I don't have my card. You cannot stop them from collecting their cards and voting. I have seen somebody being given by INEC at the distribution centers 4 PVCs at a time. Those are the kind of things that happened at that time, are still happening in the minimal manner even at this moment. But I think that the period between 14th and now, even for INEC, it's been face saving for them. They should stop pretending that they were ready at the time. They were not. But of course, today INEC has also come out to say that this period has really improved opportunities for them to do better. So everybody is in better stead. I believe the APC has better opportunities now. They had better options campaigning from 14th till now. They are prepared better in my own view. And the PDP wonderfully has done very, very well. You know, for nothing less than 2-3 weeks, the president was all over the country campaigning in the southwest, southeast.
Why did he
everywhere.
leave the southwest till the end, you know, till the postponement period? Some people in the southwest are not happy. It's like an afterthought.
No,
if not for the postponement, he wouldn't come to the southwest.
It's not true. He kick-started his campaign. Don't forget, the presidential campaign commenced from Lagos. So he didn't abandon Lagos. That itself was strategic. That was to tell the Southwest people that the Southwest is very, very key and strategic and important to this country and Africa and the entire world.
Yes, and
so
if the
it
Southwest
started from here.
If the
and
Southwest
now he has come back to do more and more campaigns in the Southwest because it is strategic.
It is strategic, but he has managed to marginalize the Yorubas and the Southwest people for 4 years.
It is not true. These are some of the impressions we really need to correct. And we don't need to correct them violently. We will need to correct them with facts and figures. It is not President Goodluck Jonathan that marginalized the Southwest. When he came in as president of this country, there was an opportunity for a Yoruba woman or man to be elected Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives. So,
and I think Mulikat Adiola was the choice
was on, and there was
PDP.
Also another person, either from Oyo or Osun, that was in the wings to be Speaker at the time. The president was interested and gave the kind of support a president who will adhere strictly to rule of law could give to anybody, and he did give. But those who denied the Yoruba the opportunity of being Speaker are not President Jonathan and his supporters. They are those who are today campaigning on the platform of APC. And they are the same people crying. It is the former governor of Lagos, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with due respect to him, and those who believed in conniving with Tambuwa and co. that denied the Yoruba the opportunity of being Speaker of the House of Representatives. There was nothing the president could do because it was a democratic process. And beyond that time, this president has come out openly. From 2011 till now, he has given due regard and respect and opportunities to the Yoruba.
Well, Chief Ayo Afolabi says that he has consigned the Yorubas to the dustbin.
In what way? Those are not sincere comments. I have very high regards for him, but those are not sincere comments based on facts. This is a precedent for the very first time. From 2011 till now, Ogun State alone at a point had 2 senior ministers. Minister of Foreign Affairs, the late Ashiru was Minister of Foreign Affairs under President Goodluck Jonathan. At the same time, same Ogun State had, for the first time in the history of this country, that's a ministry nobody leaves for Yoruba or anybody in the South. The Ministry of Agric was given to a Yoruba man. And again, not just a Yoruba man, from Ogun State, 2 senior ministers. Minister of Police Affairs is there. Every state in this country, every state in Yoruba land has been given an opportunity to have a minister of repute. This president gave Chief of Staff, the man who will be coordinating the affairs of the presidency and of course providing leadership at the State House and coordinating the activities of ministers and advisors. All of us are under him in terms of coordination to the president and this country. A Yoruba man, General Rubofa from Ondo State, has been picked by Mr. President. And who did he drop to do that? He dropped his own brother from Edo State, Chief Ogadome, and picked a Yoruba man from Ondo State to run the affairs of this country as Chief of Staff to the president. So a Yoruba man is there. Beyond that, this president again has appointed a Yoruba man as acting DG of FIRS. So this president has very sincere regard and respect for the Yoruba nation. He has regard for the struggle the Yoruba has put into enthroning democracy and sustaining democracy to date. Anybody who says that President Jonathan has marginalized the Yoruba nation is unfair. And they are simply playing very dirty politics because in actual sense, out of the first 4, president, vice president, Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, the opportunity was there for the Yoruba to have the Speaker being the people who were leaving the position of President. When General Olusegun Obasanjo was leaving office, it was Yoruba people who claimed to be advocating for equity in Yoruba land, who are now the leaders of APC, that connived with elements in the Federal House of Representatives to deny the Yoruba the opportunity of being Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives at the time. So it wasn't Jonathan.
And what does the PDP have against card readers? I'm interested to know your opinion about card readers, because the president has talked about using technology to fight corruption, and they're turning it into a joke.
No,
how can you say you will use technology to fight corruption and you are against card readers for the election?
The People's Democratic Party as a party is not opposed to the use of card readers. Mr. President is not against the use of card readers. I think, verily, those who are too wary about card readers are even the APC people. They're only playing intertwined politics. For me, I would want card readers to be used. It will bring about authenticating the voter. It's not the voting process itself. It's a way of streamlining the status of the voter. So it is a very good thing. The risk in it is that I have asked two questions. One, what if a card reader does not work at a particular unit? And Professor Jega, with due respect, has given us the solution to that.
What is the solution?
The solution is that if the card reader refuses to work, that the voting in that unit will be suspended. They will bring another card reader the next day, and voting will commence at that unit. If that is the solution, it's very dangerous. Let me give you an analogy. In my town, Arugbo, in Esau, the local government area of Ondo State, where we have nothing less than 9, 10, 12, 11 units in same town, I know that Angie, for instance, will vote at one unit. Or you have a unit just neighboring my unit. You are voting, your card reader is working. I know the party
mine is not working.
The card reader at my unit is not working. The next thing some people will feel is that somebody is sabotaging the card reader at our own unit. Our people have this sentiment of thinking wrongly. Sometimes they might not be right, but people insinuate, and before you know it, some young men decide to disrupt the election taking place there.
Because if we can't vote, nobody else. Yes.
So it is very, very dangerous to test run this technology of card reader in these 2015 elections. But if INEC assures Nigerians that the card readers would never fail, and that this issue of postponing election to the next day
won't arise.
If they do that, because they are talking about technology and sitting down in Abuja and their offices and just thinking that things work like that on election day.
But on the field,
how would the people react to the failure of the card reader to work at a particular unit or at various units in particular areas? Also remember, if this happens, the refusal of card readers to work happens in particular areas, and the card readers are working in particular areas, the insinuation would be, oh, this candidate is popular in this place, this particular one is not popular in this area, that in the area that candidate A is popular, card readers are working or are not working, or just to favor the other candidate.
Or in the area where the other party is more is popular.
So these possibilities of insinuations, rightly or wrongly, are there. They might not really help the credibility of the election. If I am to suggest, as Kingsley Kuku, not as Mr. President's advisor, as Kingsley Kuku, I would have advised Professor Jega to test run the use of this card reader, because it's very technical and it is new. This 2015 election is so vital to the existence of this country. It is very, very critical to the sustenance of democracy in our country. And with the tension that has associated these elections coming, it would have been better. Every registered voter, after all, they've been able to detect ghost voters from previous elections, where we have been able to save nothing less than 3-point-something million, a few millions of ghost voters. It means that the current voters card is more credible than the one we used for 2011. Everybody who registered would have been given the opportunity to vote now. Maybe we test run this card reader with elections at the local government areas, or certain elections, by-elections, test run them properly on election day for Nigerians to see. Then we move gradually to using it at very vital elections like presidential elections, National Assembly elections, or governorship elections that we are trying to do. Using this country at this period as guinea pig for a card reader is very dangerous for the sustenance of democracy in this country.
Do you think you will win this presidential
Oh, wow.
election.
Mr. President will win this election. This president has done so well. I don't want to continue to roll out what this president has done.
In saying he has done so well,
yes,
a lot
he has
of people
done so
will
well.
say he has not done enough.
They also have truly the right to say that. First, they are Nigerians. They voted for him. Some who are saying that are people who even voted for him in 2011. And some are not impressed with what we've been able to do. And they are thinking that they wouldn't want to vote for us this time. Some have not decided. So I'll use this medium to talk to those who voted for us in 2011.
And I want you to do
they
that.
Don't want to
because
now,
it will
that
at
they
least
have to still do that.
You know, I want you to agree with me that President Jonathan could have done more.
Yes, I want to agree with you
Yes.
that President Jonathan would have done more, but in this context, not in the context of he had the opportunity, he didn't do more. No, in the context that this is a president who was elected by Nigerians, irrespective of religion, ethnicity, or town, or location, or beliefs, in 2011 massively. But from the time he got elected till this moment, Nigerians must also agree, particularly supporters of this president, must know, those who voted for him that are beginning to waver, whether they will vote for him now or not, must understand and strengthen themselves. That look, I voted for this man. But from the day he got elected and sworn in till now, this president had never seen peace. There has been insecurity problems, there has been political tension unnecessarily because of growing opposition, all manner of backstabbing, all manner of insults, Boko Haram, sabotage at the economic and political level. This, on record, has been the most abused, the most unsettled Nigerian president from independence till now. And I have described Jonathan long a time that except General Yakubu Gowon, Jonathan seems to be, except just 3-4 weeks ago, to rightly be described as the second Nigerian wartime president. Because the kind of politically orchestrated violence in the country, particularly in the northeastern part of the country, against his administration, was simply meant to distract him, never to focus him, and never to make him achieve whatever he could achieve.
Yes.
But he remained focused with the best of ability and the best of resources that could be there.
Some
and he's
people
been able
thought,
to do a lot.
Some people thought that even if he didn't plan for all this violence, all this terrorism,
Yes.
it was a chance for him to step up to the plate as commander-in-chief.
He did. The only thing he has not done as commander-in-chief and president of this country was to kill innocent people. He's done everything. He's provided a platform as a true leader for discussion and dialogue. He's opened his hands and called on Boko Haram and their sponsors to lay down their arms and accept negotiation and discourse. He's done all that with all avenues for peaceful means of resolving the conflict in the entire country 10, 12, 20, 200 times. This president even told the BBC in an interview,
Yes.
and this president has told Nigerians that, look, when I came on board, I met in military. Yes. Our military officers are some of the best in the entire world, or the best in Africa. Our soldiers particularly are one of the best in the whole of this world.
Most professional.
Very professional, good at what they are doing. But for God's sake, Angela, there is a need to keep telling Nigerians that over time, the military was not properly equipped. This president came on board and seeing how expensive equipping the military could be, coupled with the economic times of the period, that we faced Boko Haram and had the challenge of equipping them. Even some countries were refusing to support us because God is with this country. Because God does not want this country to go into any war. Those who want war should go and see, maybe through videos, maybe they were too young. They must see what Liberians passed through.
Yes.
They must see what Sierra Leoneans passed through. They must see what Rwanda passed through. If you have seen that, you will never pray for war in this kind of country where the people are nothing less than 150 million.
Yes.
You wouldn't even know who you are fighting. We must not pray in any way for any kind of war. But this president peacefully has been able to equip the Nigerian military. You see, it's not enough to even get all the equipment in this world to fight a terrorist group. It's not like a conventional war where you know that you are battling and everybody is obeying, like the president said, international best practices, even at war. But these are people who just come. Look at what we are reading. 100 bodies buried, and because the soldiers have been able to chase them out of the place,
Yes.
they've been able to now uncover mass graves. Look at what they did to their wives, to their mothers, their sisters, people they claim that they have been fighting for. So automatically, these are very dangerous elements no true Nigerian patriot must associate with in any manner. Now, we have succeeded because it is an international terror cell. And to deal with it, you needed the cooperation of neighboring countries. This president peacefully has been able to now carry along the Chad Republic, Niger Republic, the Cameroonian country, and with the support of France, we have been able to put them together into a multinational joint task force. Now, if you attack Boko Haram in Nigerian territory, they now have nowhere to move into Chad, in Niger, or
which
Cameroon.
was the style they did
that
before.
was the problem, because they attack in Nigerian territory and run into the mountains in Cameroon or Chad Republic. But now they don't have that opportunity. They've all been, those countries are committed to conquering Boko Haram. So effectively, Nigeria has been able to provide leadership in carrying them along, and technically they are working together, and the military is effectively combating terror. Yobe State has been liberated, Adamawa has been liberated. They have just a few communities left, few local governments left in the hands, in the skeletal operations of Boko Haram in Borno State. And I think in a matter of weeks, they will clean it up.
We'll take our first break now. When we come back, I want us to look at it from the point where people are saying, did the president deliberately leave this onslaught against Boko Haram till this election period so that he will look good as if he's leading the army to defend the army? Join us again after the break. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetumobi. On my hot seat today, the special advisor to Nigeria's president on Niger Delta affairs. Mr. Kuku, people say it seems odd that this onslaught now, this victory we're experiencing against Boko Haram, it only began to happen within the period of the postponement, and that the president, could he have sacrificed the lives of many Nigerians just to look like he's winning a war to win the election?
No, it's not true. That is also APC propaganda. The APC had three issues they were talking about. One has been the war against terror. Now, the issue of terror has been dealt with by President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan very massively. So that aura of General Buhari taking charge of an army as if this is 1980s, on early 1990s, is no longer there. It's been defeated. The second point is that they were talking about corruption. At the same point that they were campaigning about corruption, Nigerians are beginning to see that those of them in APC who have been talking and campaigning about corruption are more corrupt than the people they are so alleging, because Nigerians are beginning to see a lot of the governors around them who have cases of corruption all around them. Former governors, we are beginning to see what they're showing before the court judgment came to stop it.
Those documentaries. But you know, on the flip side, it's backfiring on this president's administration.
How?
If you have all this data and you have all this information about corruption, about somebody...
The president does not have that data. People who have the data have gone to the public now. So the president is beginning to see, oh wow, all this belonging to one man or two men or a cartel of people. So we are beginning to see. But this is a government that does all it's been doing within the confines of the rule of law. That documentary itself is not enough for government to swing into action to say, this is what you are doing. Even if all they have alleged in that documentary, whoever is behind it, against former governor and Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even if they are correct, they must be properly investigated, and it must be put before a court for prosecution. It must be convicted before you give judgment to him.
You know, the reason I mentioned that is because you've talked about APC propaganda a few times now.
I gave you three issues, so I think you give me a little time. Now, so the corruption matter, Nigerians are beginning to see that there is nothing new about those who are talking about it. And of course, even under General Buhari, even when there was nothing at that time to say that General Buhari was the one carrying the suitcases, people who were close to him were also alleged and have been portrayed to have been carrying suitcases with money or dollar inside. A lot of issues, even under his watch in PTDF, in PTF, issues of corruption arose. But they do not in any way point critically to the fact that it's General Buhari that is corrupt or this person is corrupt. So when people just eulogize or just talk to say that, oh, so person or this government is so corrupt, which government? President Jonathan is just president. Those of you talking are also governors. What is happening in your states? The president is just president. He's not even a minister. Your states nominated these ministers. And you are governors. You have your money. You have your allocation. You are running your states. Some of them are not even giving daylight Some chairmen of local government in this country, in most APC states, have never tested local government allocation. They jack it with what you call Joint Accounts Committee of the various states. They don't allow their local governments to see. In any case, what I am happy about is that none of these people, because I know if they know, they would have told Nigerians, has been able to point at one 10-story building belonging to President Goodluck Jonathan in this country.
What about the hectares of land allegedly possessed by the president in Abuja?
If there are hectares of land truly procured by Mr. President for the purpose of agriculture, there is nothing wrong with it, as far as I'm concerned. Lawyers are beginning to debate about it as to whether, as sitting president, he can do that, or he must exit his office before he will be able to do that. I don't know how that can conclude, but the key thing is that even the Constitution, the Code of Conduct in this country, allows public officers to run into agricultural programs, because you are going to add to the diversification of Nigerian economy.
And the GDP as well.
Yes, the GDP. And it's going to employ a lot of people. So people who are public officers are being encouraged. That is better than taking Nigerian money abroad to go and build refinery in Ghana or build refinery in Cameroon, like some of the governors who are shouting corruption have done.
I spoke with Representative Femi Gbaja, and he said to me it was very easy for the APC to come out with its own documentary vilifying anybody they wanted to, including the president. But they chose not to because they wanted to focus on the issues.
It's not true. They've never focused on issues before. He knows even his activities on the floor of the House of Representatives had never been issue-based. He is one representative that attacks personality. So they should stop claiming to be holier than thou. They have never run any campaign of issues in their entire service or life in this country. They have been the people-based political activists we've always had. Gbaja is my person. He is my elder brother. We are very friendly. We are close. But the key point is that he should stop defending his people and himself wrongly. They always attack personalities. They always attack this president. They attack him in person. They attack programs and attach his person in the attack. But what this president has been able to do is to continue to allow our democracy to grow. The issue of corruption has been killed. The issue of terrorism has been killed.
And the third one
is the economy. They keep talking about, oh, our economy is bad, our economy is
I have some
the economy is
statistics
doing
here.
so well. It's the best in Africa today. If it were not the best in Africa today, they would have.
Goodluck Jonathan inherited 4,000 megawatts. Today, we are generating 2,500. We're paying more. And even though he has halved the price that we're paying for electricity, it still seems like we're paying 50% more for nothing.
Let me tell you, before President Goodluck Jonathan came on board, we never even had 4,000 megawatts. We had less. Now, at that time, government was taking the entire burden. Previous administrations had battled, even under the almighty General Olusegun Obasanjo, it was not possible to privatize the power sector. But in any way, nobody must take away the fact that General Obasanjo commenced the process of looking into the need to privatize the power sector. Yes, the reforms commenced from his period. When the late Yaradua came on board, it was kind of muddled up. Yes, there were a lot of cancellations, revocation, a lot of things were slowed down. When Dr. Goodluck Jonathan came on board, he moved on after a few reviews and amendments. Today, as we are talking, the power sector, NEPA or PHCN has been unbundled. We have just the Transmission Company of Nigeria left in the hands of government, which itself will be unbundled. You don't expect from public sector to private sector, a very critical sector like power, be unbundled and things will just move at a time. Government has no business basically with business in true democracy.
Yes, and that's why people thought that once it goes into private hands.
Not once. I am also an impatient person. I want everything to work
now.
In heavens. It has to be now.
Yes.
It will work. These discos are putting themselves together, funds together. They are investing so much money. They are putting a lot of things together. They inherited a lot of staff, pension issues, a lot of issues as it affects payment to former workers, current workers. A lot of negotiations are on. In management, they call this the valley of despair. It has to happen. But the moment it takes off, you will see, Angela. By 2019, when President Goodluck Jonathan hands over power to a new government, Nigerians will celebrate him anywhere he goes. I do not think he would need a police orderly to move on the streets of Lagos. in 2019.
You think it is when he leaves we will appreciate him?
It is typical with us.
Yeah.
Today, a few of us are celebrating General Olusegun Obasanjo when he was there.
Yeah.
Too many people were thinking that he was not running the affairs of this country well. When President Yar'Adua came on board, a lot of stories. Today, we celebrate him as an adherent of the rule of law. Don't forget that there is so much of sabotage.
What do you mean sabotage? You keep saying sabotage.
Political and economical. Okay, let me give you an example of sabotage that is going on. Now, it is not as if there are no oil and gas products in this country as we talk now. The past 1 week, you are beginning to see queues building up.
Yes, again.
Yes, the fuel is available. We have it in this country. Tanker owners have come up to say that if the base of their tanker business is Lagos, they don't want to transport products to the northern part or to Abuja or anywhere and get caught up on election week with any form of violence, that they will be attacked. So they are beginning to say, no, we are not moving. It's after elections, we are going to move products. But that will become very hard for Nigerians. And people will in turn say that the government is not doing well.
Yes.
In any case, it's going to be President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan that they will blame. Yes. So tanker drivers are the people, because of previous experience of violence by the opposition in 2011, where some of them were caught up. They are beginning to learn from 2011. And it is in same light that I bring in the nexus of Igbos who were in the northeast or northwest in 2011. That after election, not to talk of the youth corpers that were murdered, who were attacked and maimed. Some of them saw their parents, their mothers, their husbands killed. Now, because of that experience of 2011, a lot of Igbos have left the northeast and northwest. They moved back to Enugu, Anambra, Abia, and Ebonyi,
yes,
and the various states of Igbo land. Now they've gone back. The question to INEC is that what happens to them? If you treat some people as IDPs in the northeast and in the northwest, the question is those Igbos who, based on their experience of 2011, that you cannot take away from their psyche, that have decided to go home to be safe, who registered in the northeast and the northwest,
what happens
to them? I am saying that INEC must provide opportunity for them to transfer their right to vote to their home states, because INEC cannot provide that needed security during and post-election for them to be safe if they vote out of their choice. But jumping back to what you are talking about, the power sector is on course. The moment the economic and political sabotage is off, people consciously are going to gas pipeline, destroying them and walking away for no just cause. So these are the kind of things that the government has been battling with. The moment we will be able to seal this, and it is based on these things that the NNPC has come up with a community-based pipeline protection contracts now, because it is key. You cannot pick a man from Borno State to protect and defend the pipelines in Ezetu in Bayelsa State. You cannot take an Ijaw man from Bayelsa to come and protect the pipeline at Ijebu-Ode. You will need somebody who has capacity to be understood and understands the communities surrounding
and the language
and the culture, the tradition of the people to protect those pipelines. So it's a very laudable project that the NNPC has embarked upon, particularly as it affects communities where these pipelines are crisscrossing. There will be better times ahead for the oil and gas industry with that decision, and invariably it's going to impact positively on the power sector.
Join us again after the break. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with Kingsley Kuku. Now, Mr. Kuku, I wanted to read two opinions to you. This is an editorial from the influential UK-based Economist magazine. They criticized President Jonathan for condoling France after the attack on Charlie Hebdo, the killing of 12 journalists in France, and they say he waited 2 weeks to condole with Nigerians on the death of 1,000 Nigerians. They said the growth of the economy is not because of him, but in spite of his government, and that the falling oil prices will expose his government the more. Under him, poverty has increased, and that we die 8 years younger than our Ghanaian counterparts. So hold that on one side. On the other side, a former spokesman for 4 United States ambassadors to the United Nations, Richard Grenell, he says that the former military head of state Buhari, if he emerges as president, it will be a disaster for the entire continent, and he's calling for people to vote instead for Goodluck Jonathan, because now, with Boko Haram identifying with ISIS, the Islamic State, they think voting for Buhari and his tendency or his love for the Sharia is a danger for Nigeria. So these are two completely opposite opinions that we're seeing now as the elections are bearing down on us. In another 4 days or so, we will be voting. I want your comments on those two. The editorial of The Economist criticizing your boss, and this supporting your boss.
I first want to say that The Economist had supported this administration before. So this is not the first time that they've made very critical comments like this. At some point, they had commended this administration, and they had even wondered how, despite the security situation, the economy is growing in Nigeria. I think that they are becoming political with their editorials and their policy statements. Some of these statements in Great Britain in the United Kingdom guide policies of government. I understand. They must be faulted properly. It is so wrong for anybody to say that Nigeria's economy will be growing in spite of the president. It's wrong. Economies all over the world don't grow without anything. Economies don't grow in a vacuum. Yes. There must be something. There must be policies. There must be propellants for the growth. The economy was not growing the way it's growing now under President Goodluck Jonathan, under Musa Yar'Adua, under President Obasanjo. At that time, comparable to what we are facing now, this economy is growing because of the economic policies of this government.
People say it's growing on paper.
It cannot grow on its own. One typical, just crude example is the fact that over time, December period, Nigeria had experienced costly prices for agricultural products like rice. But just this December passing, our price for rice in this country never increased because we are producing locally so much enough. So the economists should be told that we are consciously as a government taking up policies and growing our economy within. So I do believe verily that the economist is not right. But for Grinnell, he is an expert. He has very strategic opinions. I have read a lot of articles, a lot of policy statements made by Grinnell. He can never be ignored by the Obama administration. And look at what Grinnell has been able to espouse. He's made his points critically with facts. It's not just propagating falsehood. He's talking about what he knows. He has so much knowledge about Nigeria. Grinnell is not different in terms of expert opinion like Ambassador Howard Jetta, Ambassador Campbell, and others about what Nigeria is.
Yes.
The key point is that it is a fact that General Buhari, in some ways, you see, I have very high regard for him. For me, as a young man growing, General Buhari remains one of the persons in this country that has sacrificed for the unity of our country, participated in the Nigerian Civil War. They brought unity to this country. Now, such a man must be living above board some of the things that he is alleged to have said, some that he has said. For instance, critically, if Fulani S-men had issues with native owners of farmlands in Oyo State, it should not have been a General Buhari, being a former leader of this country, that will leave Kaduna or Katsina to visit a former governor of Oyo State to say that, why are your people killing my people? Those are statements that former leaders of this country must not make. General Buhari should have lived above that kind of statement. I was not there, so I still call it an allegation.
But he has come out to say, look, these are things in the past. People are just trying to tie these things.
No.
Can't a man change, Mr. Kuku?
Every today is a yesterday. Every tomorrow is a today. The moment it gets dark and there is daylight tomorrow, today has become a yesterday. So yesterday is always linked to today, and today is linked to tomorrow. That is why people say that in providing leadership, you must be careful what you say, what you do, because it will count against you. Imagine, for instance, that General Buhari truly said that an attack on Boko Haram is an attack on the north.
We still don't know if he said it.
That is why I'm saying, imagine that he truly said that. He is alleged to have said that. Boko Haram has killed almost 1 million now.
But they tried to kill him as well. They tried to kill Buhari as well.
I don't know those who wanted to kill him, because Boko Haram did not come out to say that they were the people targeting General Buhari. For some people, street talk, it was an internal APC attack. A lot of people are saying different things, that fellow contestants for the presidency on the platform of APC were after him because they believed that he was going to defeat them.
Yes.
A few things were insinuated. All this might not be correct. Some of them might really be the truth. Nigerians link a lot of things, and that is how the world comes up with mathematics and the answers to whatever questions you put before them. That if he says that, and Boko Haram, when they were saying that they were going to nominate credible Nigerians to negotiate on their behalf with the federal government, and they did nominate General Buhari, even when after a while he came out to say that he would not do that, he can't be their spokesman or their negotiator. The fact that Boko Haram had faith in him, despite the killings that were going on, despite the mass killings and murder that they were carrying out. Imagine again that General Buhari had said that he will remain one of the persons committed to spreading Islam in this country. If he ever said so, I wasn't there when it was said. If it was said, you see, his handlers must be able to explain some of this. Quite very late.
Come out to clarify.
Yes,
did he say
and
these
give
things?
Evidence that he didn't say that.
Yes.
As far as they've not done that, we remain committed as a people, as Nigerians who believe in the sanctity of this country, to continue to say that he said so as alleged. So if he had said so, I don't want a president of this country that wake up one day and continue to encourage the Islamization of this country. Is very dangerous, and that is what Grenell is talking about.
Yes.
So if people in the capacity of Grenell, being in the United States, an expert on Nigerian policy and affairs, is saying that voting General Buhari is a risk in that line too,
yes,
I am more bothered as a Christian. And it is also beyond that. Boko Haram is now pledging allegiance to ISIS.
And they say ISIS is targeting young African children, especially
of course.
Nigerian children.
There are Nigerian children that have gone to join ISIS. Even now, I heard about a family whose son has gone to join ISIS today. So if there is a link between Boko Haram and ISIS growing, and there is an alleged link between a man who intends to be president of this country and Boko Haram, either is condoning them or he knows what they are doing.
Yes.
Either way, it is risky for Nigeria to elect that kind of president. I admire him. I love him. I have very high regard for him.
You don't think he's too old?
For me, at this point, at 73, General Buhari should be a statesman. He should not in any way have been aspiring to become president of this country at this point. But it does not in any way say that what I am feeling about his age is correct. If he says that he is fit, is capable, and he desires to be president, it's also his right to doing what he's doing now. Nigerians are saying that loudly. They prefer to stick to the 50-something-year-old President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
Well, on the final note, I can't let you go without asking you this. In the event that the APC wins the presidential election, what is the future of the presidential amnesty program going to be?
Thank you.
Know if they will continue the program?
Well, I really need to let you and Nigerians understand this, but these are facts. So despite what the APC is planning, I know a few things they are planning. You know, I'm a young man. I have a lot of friends among them. One thing they are planning,
yes,
and that is why they can't win this election, but they are plotting a lot of sinister things as a party that are even undermining the security and sovereignty of this country.
In what way?
One, whether they like it or not, the activities of the radio station that they are talking about,
the new pirate station.
The new pirate station is alleged to be an opposition radio station. They are denying it. But from their activities, they are capable of running that, and some of them have this kind of antecedent in their lives. So what is the purpose of a radio station? You want to announce the result of an election you have not won?
They will say on the other side, what was the aim of bringing OPC and all the other groups to Lagos? You know, solidarity to say Jega should go and intimidating Lagosians.
No, it's not true. Nobody brought OPC to Lagos. Gani Adams stay in Lagos. He is not an enemy. He had always been a friend and a supporter of democratic norms in this country. Now, because Gani Adams is openly saying that Yoruba people must support, he's not talking about OPC, he's a Yoruba leader. He's saying, like Freddy Fashion, that instead of going back to military dictatorship, they would prefer to move forward with President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. They've not done anything wrong. And that they are saying that Jega must go because you saw Gani Adams, among other pro-democracy activists in Lagos, walking the streets of Lagos. If they are campaigning for the enthronement of Buhari as president now, those who are opposing them in the APC will say, well, Gani Adams is doing well. Now, because they are saying Nigeria must move forward, and they are saying that Jega has not done well as it affects PVCs and card readers, and for that purpose, they believe he has something sinister
up his sleeve
to put Nigeria into a path of destabilization. That is what they have alleged. I don't believe in it. As Kingsley Kuku, I might share some of those sentiments. As an advisor to Mr. President, I'll keep saying that Professor Tahiru Jega is a reputable man in this country. Today, as chairman of INEC, I believe verily in the integrity of this man. I believe that he is just chairman of INEC. There are national commissioners, there are resident electoral commissioners. There are so many people that will play different roles in the coming elections. So I don't think Jega will be in my unit. I don't think Jega will be in your unit to ensure that people vote for a particular candidate as alleged that he prefers. And again, he's a human being. He's not a deaf and dumb.
He can have a preference.
He can have a preference. But to effect it wrongly, he won't be able to do it. But the key point, Angela, is this. The Southeast has 5 states. President Goodluck Jonathan will win in all those 5 states.
The Southwest, 6 states.
The South has 6 states.
Yes.
President Goodluck Jonathan will win in all those states.
Okay.
That is 11 states.
11.
I'm going to 37.
Yes.
Now, in the Southwest,
yes, 6
to
states.
be very modest,
yes.
in the 6 states, President Goodluck Jonathan will win in 4.
Which are the 4? Is Lagos one of them?
Well, I don't want to name this because I don't want to reveal this to the APC people.
Okay.
But I know that we are mobilizing a lot of people. Okay. We are talking to Nigerians. There are some people who are in APC who will vote for President Goodluck Jonathan.
On the day of election.
On the day of election. They are also scared about the kind of violence that will be visited on them by their so-called leaders who are forcefully taking them to their
So
party.
they are keeping it quiet.
They are keeping it calm, but we are communicating, we are talking. They will vote for President Goodluck Jonathan.
So now we have 15 states from the south.
You go to the north central. To be modest again, the minimum we will get, the PDP will win, is going to be 3 states.
North central.
North central.
So that's 18.
That will be 18.
Yes.
If you move to the northwest, I can see the People's Democratic Party getting 2 states. And in the northeast, we will get a minimum of 1 or 2 states again. So I am generally looking at the People's Democratic Party.
So you've done your math.
Yes, it's nothing less than 21 states. And the president will win in the FCT.
So out of 37,
we are likely to win. The PDP will win a minimum of 21 to 22 states.
What if you lose?
We cannot lose this election. It's not because it will be forcefully done. No.
Yes.
Nigerians have seen the difference between President Goodluck Jonathan as a man who respects all Nigerians, a man who has given better opportunities to all Nigerians to operate. People are growing. Look at the entertainment industry today. Davido, Wizkid, P-Square, all these guys don't need government patronage to grow and own what they have today. It is the kind of environment and reform and interest that President Goodluck Jonathan has put into the entertainment industry that has brought about all this. So let us give this president, and Nigerians are ready to come 28th of this month, come out en masse and vote for this president to be back for his last 4 years. He's not demanding for more than 4 years. These 4 years, we put this country on an auto movement for progress and prosperity. And this is what President Goodluck Jonathan represents. Nigerians are ready to give him this. As far as I'm concerned, every Nigerian should continue to pray very hard that these elections on Saturday and the 11th of April will come, and Nigeria, like we did overcome the civil war, the June 12th annulment, the Niger Delta crisis, and we are overcoming the Boko Haram terror activities, Nigeria will come out of this peacefully and stronger. And General Buhari would rise above board and the APC to congratulate President Goodluck Jonathan.
And if you win, we will be back to speak with you.
Thank you very much. I will be willing.
Thank you for coming on the program again.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it for this week. Don't forget to like 60 Minutes with Angela on Facebook. Alternatively, follow me on Twitter. I'm Angela Ajitumobi. Thank you for watching.